Hey guys, Machines and Metal here. So I just wanted to show you this little power washer I picked up. If you look at previous videos, I picked this up on Sunday at the flea market. I paid $100 for this and two lawnmowers. So I would probably value this about $30, $35 is what it cost me if you break it out over the three items. It came with a hose and wand, which are in nice shape. They're right there. And I'm just gonna try and get this thing going. I just want to see if the engine actually runs. It's not recommended you run a pressure washer with no water attached to it. So we're just gonna see if we can get this thing to fire, and if it fires and runs, then we'll hook up water to it and we'll test it out. But let's just first see if the engine's any good. So I've added fuel, and it has a primer right there. So you gotta prime it a few times. Now it's about 3 degrees where I am, so everything, this rubber is really hard, and it's old and dry, so it doesn't really work that well. So I can tell already that this thing's going to be a nightmare to start, and it probably needs a new primer. So there's an on-off switch. Switch it to the on position. I'm just going to give it a few pulls. I forgot my little tripod today, so it's going to be shaky. But anyway, let's just see if we can get this thing to make some noise. Oops. So nothing at all. I'll show you a little trick. A little trick you can try. If you take off the airbox cover and get yourself a little bottle like this, a little squirt bottle, and fill it with some two-stroke mix, so some 50-to-1 fuel mix. And what you can do is use this as starting fluid for trying different machines out. So I'm just going to do is tilt this machine forward, and I'm just going to fire a shot of that fuel down into the carburetor hole. Now we're going to give it another pull. So she runs, and that weight there, the way that it ran, tells me that the carburetor bowl is probably full of rotten fuel. It's right there, or gel. We'll find out shortly, as it's running off my manual prime, but not off the supply of fuel that's in the fuel system. So next I'm going to pull the carb bowl off and see what treasure we find inside. Alright guys, so I'm just going to show you real quick how to drain a carburetor bowl on this machine. You're going to need some tools. You need a fuel line pincher like that, and what that does is it pinches your fuel line to stop the flow of fuel. And then you're going to need a tray. I use these cookie trays, they work pretty good. That's to capture the fuel that comes out of that carb bowl. And then you'll need a wrench. In this case we've got a 10 millimeter wrench, and what you want to do is undo the little 10 mil bolt on the bottom of the carburetor and just see what comes out. Now I'm just smelling it here on my fingers, and it smells pretty rotten. I don't see any water though. Usually if there's water, you'll see bubbles of it flowing out of that carburetor bowl, but it actually looks clean. It just smells rotten. So what we're going to do is just let that drain a little bit. Let it drain out. Actually, what I'm going to do now is release the fuel line, the pinch. I've filled this tank full of fresh high octane fuel. So I'm going to release that. I'm just going to let some new fuel, some new fresh fuel flow down into that carburetor bowl. And hopefully rinse this out, get some fresh fuel in there, and see if she'll start. So I'm going to pinch that so it stops. Now I'm going to tighten the fuel bowl back up. My 10mm wrench. And then I'm going to let that carburetor bowl fill back up again. Now the fuel that came out of there really doesn't look that filthy. Like I said, it's just stale. So we're going to dump this into our recycling, not down the drain, not into the garden. Got a recycling can of gas. And we're going to try starting this thing now. Just let it down so we don't drop it on the onto the shop floor. That primer is probably not going to work. We're going to have to use the bottle of fuel I showed you. But we'll give it a try. See what happens. If it doesn't start now, then I'm going to tear the carburetor off and clean it out in the ultrasonic carb cleaner. So let's try it with the primer. Try and get a couple primes out of that. Like I said, we're probably going to need a new primer bubble because this one's just about had it. Alright, are we ready? Oh, would you look at that? I guess step 2 is going to be hook up the hoses and some water, and let's see if this puppy makes pressure. Alright guys, so I'm outside here. I think we're about 3 degrees from frozen, and I've got the water hooked up and the wand hooked up. Got water coming out. Now you can see that the primer bubble is still stuck in. So we're definitely going to have to get a new one of those. We'll probably find one in the parts bin or online for a couple of dollars. But anyway, let's give this thing a start. Hopefully it'll start again for us and see if it makes any pressure. This is going to be tricky because I gotta compress the wand, hold this thing down, and pull it all at the same time. Well, lo and behold, look at that. $30 pressure washer, put about $1.50 in fuel into it, and I'm gonna have to get a primer bubble. That's gonna cost $2 or $3, but I bet you I could sell this for $125, maybe $150. Honestly, I think I could piss harder than this thing, but people love them. They sell fast, and it's in really nice condition. So if you're looking to make a buck or two on a good flip, pick a couple of these up at your local garage sales or flea markets. Fix them up and sell them. Thanks for watching.